Hi everyone, this is Jim Ross from 3 Mile Domination Show, and in this episode, it's a little different. I have Dan and Sherry from storage facility. We'll keep you anonymous. Storage facility down in Arizona, and anyway, they had a situation not too long ago that kind of sheds light on the importance of having tenant insurance. So we kind of talk about that. So anyway, with that, how's it going, Dan?
Going absolutely great, Jim.
Good. Keeping cool down there in the 108-degree weather.
Yeah, well, that's a mood point, keeping cool. The only way to do that is stay indoors.
Oh, I used to live in that. I used to live in that area, and I was
Oh
hauling
yeah,
hauling furniture and stuff like that, and 110-degree weather.
yeah,
It's like, oh, I don't miss those days.
yeah. And unfortunately, it's not easy to stay indoors, especially with this kind of business. So,
No, it's a good thing you have temperature control there. But
yeah,
no, well, anyway, let's. I talk with owners, all the time, and doing these consulting, and then manager contracts and things like that. And more often than not, they don't have tenant insurance mandatory. They kind of offer it, but it's kind of like, it's very lackadaisical in how the manager approaches it about selling the insurance. And I want to
sure.
kind of highlight, I mean, this is a worst case scenario, but I want to kind of highlight what happened at your facility and actually how, kind of how the insurance company, kind of swooped in to help save the day and make your life a little less crazy during that time. So maybe you can kind of give us a little history on what happened.
Sure. Well, not last, but a year ago, December, it was December 2015.
Hmm.
We were getting ready to do our walkthrough, which we do at 8 o'clock every night. And at about 8:05, I walked out on the deck and I saw some smoke coming up. And so naturally, I rushed out to see what was going on, and I saw one of the units was fully engulfed in flames. Of course, by this time we had called 911, had
Gosh.
fire on their way. It ended up burning 3 units, and altogether, 15 units were damaged uh, by way of either fire or smoke damage. And all but one of the tenants had Store Smart insurance. And oddly enough, the tenant that didn't have Store Smart insurance was the one that left the electrical devices running and burned the units down.
That's what I was going to
I
ask. What
shouldn't laugh at
happened?
that.
Yeah. Wow. That's
Yeah.
ironic.
Uh, yeah, he had an electrical device plugged in. He had left and locked the door, and that's what started the fire. Fire marshal said he was living there. However, he wasn't because we checked the gate keeper and we do a walkthrough every night. He stayed there during the day, unfortunately. So he had a heating unit and oh my gosh, he had everything in there,
Wow.
unbeknownst to us. But at any rate, the insurance was so accommodating. All they needed was 2 to 3 pictures of each unit and verification from us that there had in fact been a fire or smoke damage or actual fire damaged their unit.
Yeah.
And every one of them paid, and they paid in full. They paid with the exception of it was a $100 deductible. It was a $2,000 policy, and every one of them paid without question at all.
Wow.
Yes, it was very nice.
See, that's
We
some of the
didn't.
that's some of the pushback I get too. Is like, oh, well, if people make a claim, insurance companies they're just out to screw you. They're gonna fight you, and they're in the business of
Yeah,
making money, not paying out claims. So to hear that it
yeah,
was
yeah.
seamless like
Well,
that,
that's what I've
that's
heard
great.
with so many insurance companies, and they didn't fight anybody. Once we gave them the word that yes, there was in fact a fire, and of course we identified who we were, and we took a couple of pictures on the people that didn't have the capability of taking a picture. We actually took the pictures for them
Yeah.
and emailed them to the insurance company, and they all paid out with I believe it was within a month.
Wow.
Every one of them, and they all came to us and said they were happy campers about that. So,
Yeah. You sometimes wonder. I know it's a $2,000 policy, and that's usually what that's the minimum,
yes,
insurance policy they go
yes,
for. you got to figure what people are storing. That's $2,000 usually for to replace what you're storing. More often than not, that's
Hmm.
more than it covers it. But that's why they have different tiered policies that you can purchase. But sounds like if they're all happy with $2,000, then great. So what happened
Yeah, I
after
think we
that?
can get them. Well, after that, it was pretty much up to the construction companies. They came in and they started within, um, was it a week? A week to 2 weeks, they started on the construction. Fortunately, we did not have to close the facility at all
Nice.
during the construction period. They kept everything roped off, and their little corner of the world, so to speak, was off limits, but everything else was open. And logistically speaking, the toughest part of this whole thing was moving people out of one unit into another unit so they could repair the smoke damage and so forth. But that all worked out. We gave each tenant 2 free months that was displaced, and every one of them seemed to be very happy. They got paid for their belongings, and the ones that did stay, like I say, got 2 free months of Tennessee, and they were happy with that.
Yes, yeah,
Very
yeah.
happy.
So you're being accommodating in a crazy
Yes.
situation, and that's again, this is
Well,
you know,
yeah, in I'm sorry, in a situation like this, you kind of have to be because
oh yeah,
we know it's not their fault, and we want to. Of course, they look at us like, well, it's your facility that burned.
yeah.
That is true, but it's not necessarily our fault. But we did accommodate them, so and they were happy about that.
Yeah, that's every owner's and operator's worst nightmare when it comes to either natural disaster or fire or anything like that. That's
Yes,
ugh.
yes,
It's like you were saying,
yeah.
you're diligent. I mean, I know you guys as managers, you're checking the property and making sure no one's living in there. But sometimes, especially during the day, it is hard to keep an eye on it 24/7. Then during daylight hours, yeah, I mean, there's only
It,
so much you can
yeah,
keep an eye
it
on a
is.
facility.
Yeah, it is kind of difficult, and we're in an area, the geographic location we're in, there's a lot of people down on their luck and homeless people and stuff, which
Yeah,
we have no problem renting to a homeless person at all, but we have to let them know from the get-go, especially now that they can't live here.
yeah.
They're allowed to stay, they can't loiter, they can't it's not a picnic facility. It's basically you store your belongings and then, when you need them, come get them kind of thing,
Yep.
you know.
Yep. No, I've managed plenty of those kind of locations, unfortunately, where it's just it's you have those. I remember the very first site I ever managed, and it was the property.
Mhm.
I was 19, 20 years old, and I was managing this property. It was like my second or third day, and I caught a family of husband, wife, and three little kids living
Oh
in the
boy.
unit, and it's like it
Yeah.
shocked me at first, like what the, and then
Yeah.
had to brought them to a shelter, got them on their way. But then at this
Mhm.
location, it just happened over and over and over again of just, you got to be so diligent and watching out. So I know you guys you do your best, but yeah, that's rough. And you can't.
I
So someone plugs an
I
electrical
actually
thing in there. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. I actually I stumbled across a website, and it was about how people can live in a storage facility. And through that website, I found literally dozens and dozens of other websites showing step-by-step pictures of how you can live in a website. This is videos, pictures, the whole bit, and everything is laid out to a T. So I've gone on so far all the websites that I've found so I know what I'm looking for, you know. And it
Really?
tells you yeah, it tells you in these websites, make sure you do this so that the management doesn't know, they don't think you're there, they can't tell. So I look for things like that
You will have to
to
send
make
that to
sure
me.
nobody.
Seriously, so find
I'm
those
sorry?
links, find some of those links and send it to me. That would be
Okay, I
very
will.
that'd be very valuable information. It's funny you said that because I was eating lunch today and I came across a YouTube video. It's been around for like a year and a half, but I just stumbled
Mhm.
upon it, and it was about this guy that he did like an 8-minute video tour of him living in
Mhm.
a U-Haul storage unit in Vancouver for 2 months.
That
And
was the guy that had built shelves and built a
yeah,
bed with shelving underneath, and he had a running water facility with 5-gallon
yep,
buckets.
that's the
Was
one.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was nicer than
yeah.
my first
I
apartment. Yep.
it's amazing what people will do for to save a few bucks in rent. You
So
know.
yeah, so again, it's just kind of twofold in this little interview here. Is we'll branch off into do another episode talking about what to look for as a manager to make sure this doesn't happen as far as people living in the units. And then,
Sure.
but second of all, again, you can be as diligent as possible, as much as you can at your facility. Crap's still going to happen. It's just it's the nature of the business. I mean, things happen, and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
fire or whatever that could happen to your site, guys, just get insurance. Make it mandatory. I mean, that it's not only for your benefit as the owner of the operator of the site, but you're looking out for the interest of your tenants as well. If something would have
Mhm.
happened,
Yeah.
in your case, you had that fire and they didn't have insurance. Well, now it's your fault, for not. Well, you didn't offer me insurance. Well, yes, I did. Well, you didn't tell me how important it was, and you would have got that flack for a long
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Yeah. As a result of the fire, we actually disconnected all the electricity to the units. There is now no electricity, which basically means at night they don't get a light, is all. But then the grounds are lighted up,
yeah.
so they can see in their unit if they're there. But then we close at 8 o'clock anyways, and we'll offer flashlights if people need them. So you know.
Yeah, unfortunately, that you know how you give people an inch, they'll take a mile type of thing.
Mhm.
I've seen
Yeah.
that so many times when sites that have electrical outlets for usage that it just becomes a nightmare. So I
Oh
pretty
my
much,
gosh.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're not alone in that situation of turning it off. It's just,
Yeah,
sometimes you have
I'm
no
sure
choice.
you've seen the same thing yourself, but I went into one person's unit that he left it open and he went to get, I don't know, a drink or lunch or something. So I was checking the unit out
Yeah.
before I put a lock on it. So I always open it to make sure nobody's in there. And then what I saw was, oh my gosh, it was a nightmare. He literally had 11 things plugged in into the bootleg light socket.
Oh my
He
gosh.
didn't even have a light socket in his unit, but he cut the conduit that was common. It was flowing through. He cut through the conduit, pulled the wires out, and hooked an electrical cord to it, and he had 3 different surge protectors hooked to that. He had 15 electrical ports, but 11 of them were being used. Now this is a 10-watt bulb area.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
Oh my
I
gosh,
guess
he had
an
yeah.
eviction was imminent after that, I assume. That's
Well,
crazy.
I called him up immediately. He says, "Oh yeah, thanks for checking it out, Dan. I just went down to get a soda." And I said, "Well, when you come back, you can pack your stuff up."
Yeah, that's
And because
crazy.
I had just told him that morning, he came in to pay his bill.
Yeah.
That morning, I told him there's no electrical. He says, "Oh yeah, I don't blame you. Yeah, no problem. No, that won't." Unbeknownst to me, he had all this electricity going on.
Big
He had a
fat liar.
computer, a TV, a radio, a light, a fan, a heater, and a popcorn machine plugged into his unit.
Well, he's not an animal. You can't live in a unit and not have
Well,
a popcorn machine.
gotta
Come
have
on.
popcorn.
Yeah. Jeez.
So he was gone that night.
Oh, I bet. So we,
Oh
we we
boy.
could we could sit here and talk stories and all day and make a whole episode about this,
Mhm.
but I mainly want to talk about the fire and the insurance. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
hopefully we've scared everyone enough to call your storage insurance company and have them walk you through on how to make it mandatory for your facility, and just you'll be happy you did. So let's leave it
Yes,
at
there's
that.
one manager that thinks it should be mandatory out of experience. Yes.
Well, again, that's why I wanted to have you on. Having a manager's point of view honestly holds more weight than
Mhm.
me sitting here talking about it, because you're boots on the ground. You're the ones dealing with the tenants every single day. You're in it, and so
Right.
if it makes your life easier and you can see how it's benefiting the tenants, yeah,
Most
it's a no-brainer.
what what some people don't understand is most insurance companies, homeowners and renters insurance companies, will can waive the insurance if their declaration page says outbuildings. If they, insure outbuildings, because that doesn't have to be in their backyard.
Hmm.
An outbuilding is considered a storage facility, so if they have insurance, we'll waive the mandatory insurance as long as they have that. We take a copy of their declaration page and put it on file with them,
Yeah.
a current,
Yep.
current copy,
Yep.
and that's fine with us as long as they have insurance.
As long as they are covered, and that's the whole point of this.
Yeah, exactly.
Good. Well, thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule today and talking with me.
You bet. Thanks for calling.
Yeah.
Good hearing from you.
We'll do it again. We'll have some horror stories. We'll go back and forth.
Sounds real good. We'll talk to you later,
All
Jim.
right. Thanks, Dan. Talk to you later, man.
Bye.
Bye.